What's happening out there, everybody? This is Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes. I am really excited to delve into this website. Why? Because it focuses all about web accessibility, and I am a big proponent of that when it comes to designing websites. In addition, how I look in design in terms of critiquing websites, I think about three things. One, how does it look? Two, how does it function in terms of web accessibility? That's one part. And three, how can we improve it? If we take a look at this website, I do like the fact that I see the title nice and big in the logo, and I come down the page. The one thing I might watch for is this is pretty low on the page. What can happen is if we're not careful, is if I have this website open about right here, I don't entirely know what I'm looking at. There's almost too much negative space up here, down here, where what could happen is if I hit this page, I don't know what it is. And I might watch the video, but I might not watch the video. So really be careful. This is kind of an old terminology piece, but above the fold, that usually comes from a newspaper terminology. And to me, this Y Web Access Pro word, it gets lost if I adjust the browser any smaller, where this big image doesn't adjust relative to the size of the design. So be careful overall on this piece right here. If I come back to this famous full-size picture, come on, browser. Maybe. There we go. Y Web Access, I'm thinking is the H1. Let's double check it. Yep, H1, looking good right there. Y Web Access Pro, we went uppercase. This is also really nice to see that we have uppercase, lowercase. Google and other search engines use the text right here to read it, but visually on the screen, it's great to have the uppercase piece of it all. I'm never a huge fan of letter spacing. I think in this one, it doesn't look too bad, but if we have too much extra space between the type, it does get hard to read. I'm almost never a fanatic of adding letter spacing at all to type because I just like to have it the way the intended designer intended it to be. Just a little preference of mine for right here. If we scroll down the page, looks pretty good. We've got paragraphs going on here. P, excellent in here. And this one should be a paragraph. Yep, to the right. Looking good here. Font size, dark text. Yeah, looking nice in this one. If we come down to About Us, this should be the H2. Oh, uh-oh. So we're kind of pretending it's a H2 when it's an H1. So this is a part of web accessibility is semantics. So in your heading section of web accessibility, we do think about, if we look at the example, there should be one title and then a lot of H2s down the page. So I think about a website should only have one H1, but multiple H2s. Think about it as a chapter of a book is more of a H2 and the book title is an H1. So in this page right here, what I do recommend doing, where's the 8? There it is changing this from an H1 to an H2. That way, I think what happens here is that we lose the H1. We go from a size of 2.5 to a size of 2. That identifies it almost as an H2, but we're kind of being a little funky with the way. Also, if we look at the way our CSS is written, this H1 already has those design classes. So what I would do is I would put all of these CSS elements inside the actual tag of the H1. And then as the H2, you can say as H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6 in your CSS. And then the font size would just adjust based upon the H2, H3, and so forth and so forth. Also, this is using Bootstrap. I can totally tell with the MTs and the MBs for margin bottom. Don't forget that as you adjust your size, in Bootstrap, it will adjust the font size relative to the browser width. That's one piece in Bootstrap that does happen. So we have to see Web Access Pro. We should have a paragraph. Ooh, H3. It looks like more of a paragraph. To see Web Access Pro in action is more of a statement. So I can see this more as a paragraph than an H3. I'm not really quite sure if this is more of a heading, but I kind of see it more of as a lead paragraph going into these areas. And then we have our YouTube videos. What I would do, because I can see the links down below are YouTube, what I would add here is let's just add the YouTube videos and embed them. I think to me, if I didn't know that, and I looked at this a little bit prior, If I click on this, what happens is this video pops up. I'm going to close it for right now. But the thing about this, and this gets into more of a usability, not accessibility, is I didn't know I'm leaving the website. And that to me is a big issue because I want to just go over to YouTube. There's a fantastic article on CSS tricks that I've loved for years. He's updated the website since 2014. And it basically goes into when to use target blank in your websites. And a bad reason, because you like it that way. A bad reason, just because you want users to never leave your web page. I'm kind of seeing it as this one right here, because I can come back to the website. I think I can go to YouTube, I can come back. So I'm not really quite sure why we're adding all the blanks to this design in terms of adding the blank going forward, because to me, I just want to click and go on. If I start clicking back and forth, I'm going to start adding a lot of tabs in this design. So I am not a huge fan of the target blank. This is a fantastic website to hit, CSS tricks/use target blank. So it kind of goes into details why you should use it and then why you should not use it. And the good reasons is that if you have like an audio piece playing in the background, you don't want someone to lose that. That's where the actual blanking comes in. Another one also is that they're working on the page like a big form. So you don't want to just, once again, someone goes, did I just lose everything I was doing? So take a look at this page that talks about good and bad reasons why the blank should be used. I'm not a huge fan of it, even in these modern eras. I don't want to go back and forth. And in looking at this page, we hit like the purchase. And if I click on this, this goes again to the blank page. And I don't know what I'm purchasing in terms of price. So in terms of usability, I like the purchase, but on most modern day SaaS sites, the service as, I'm blanking on the acronym, but software as a service, that's what I'm thinking of. If I think about the purchase, I want to see a price before I purchase it. And the purchase just goes right to that page. Also, in terms of usability, the About Us, what you should have is a scroll, because About Us is right here, but it doesn't hold to this spot. What I should see in terms of the navigation is the select being put when you hit this About Us. And the # select or section 3 should be About Us, where we're doing, I'm not quite sure even where the div section 3. So the ID section 3, I would call this section About Us. That helps inform the user where I am. If I were to copy this, I could copy section 3 when it really should be About Us. So there's a bit of a usability issue where like the resources are right here, but then the help goes away. And so it's really confusing for me to know where I am at all given points. When someone gets to a website, they want to know really clear where they are. And when I first clicked on the word About Us, I happened to be on the About Us section. So I thought that when I clicked on this, I was about right there. And to me, I thought I was going to go to a different About page when I was on the same page, because these different buttons didn't turn to select as I scroll up and down. If we're going to build a one-page site, we need to really build a one-page site. Also, since we're speaking about usability, this type is way too hard to read. And what I mean is I can't get my eye back over here to the other side without having readability issues. If you think about it, which is easier to read, this page or this page? And that's really because my eye can easily go from this side over to here without losing where I was on a page. If you think about it, that's why we read pages vertical and not horizontal, is because that fixes the readability going on. So there's a lot of usability issues in here, and there's a few accessibility issues that I would fix. Also, I did notice at the very bottom that the social media icons, and I'm just turning this accessibility up to 11, is the ARIA label is not used in the right spot. The ARIA label is to describe the link, not the image. you have the alt correct, but the ARIA label linked to Facebook. So if we take a look at this one, the using ARIA label for a link purpose, what should happen is the ARIA label goes inside of the link to describe what's going on. It's just minimal. In this part, you have everything built properly in here. I would just almost take it out, only because I don't need to have it. And I would take out all the blanks. I don't think they need to happen in terms of where we're going to open a new page. Let the user go over to that. Also, in terms of pictures, let's not use pictures of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Let's head over to Font Awesome. Let's grab Font Awesome over here, and let's hit up these really rich, gorgeous icons that Font Awesome provides. We should almost be all the way in SVG land across the page. And in these pictures, they look good, but they're still pictures when it comes to PNG files. And that's also because SVG files are important to have. So if you want to change those colors or change anything, the SVG is a simple CSS trick, and not necessarily when it comes in terms of a picture. I can't change it very easily. So little things to be aware of as we build this site. I also know you mentioned this is not built in Gatsby, which this would be a perfect starter to go into the Gatsby world going forward. Overall, it's a great start to the site. I think if you're going to really advertise web accessibility, just watch for those little nuances as you go forward. Otherwise, pretty cool site. I'm digging it.